Bold predictions for the second half. Let's go, Zubin.
At 5.
Karl-Anthony Towns will be the next superstar to demand a trade. So hear me out. They're 7-29 right now, the worst record in the league. They were bottom 3 last year. They got the D'Angelo Russell trade. Thought that made them happy. That hasn't been pending out. They have Anthony Edwards. I call him Baby Keyshawn on this show. Very flamboyant with the things he says. He's played somewhat decently this season. But look, Karl-Anthony Towns, they're talking about getting potentially Jonathan Collins there from the Atlanta Hawks. Not sure that's going to pan out. But trust and believe with the way the Knicks are playing, he's from the tri-state area. I'm not saying his name is involved with the Knicks, but Karl-Anthony Towns is a guy that does not want to be at the bottom of the league, and people are going to start to wonder, what team does he fit into next? He will be the next hot name you will hear on that circuit.
Next up.
At 4.
All right, look, the play-in tournament is going to be one of the hottest things we're going to talk about. And I know Steve Kerr came out and said this. He's like, hey, he loves the play-in tournament as long as the Warriors aren't in it. Well, the Warriors are going to be in the play-in tournament. Think about this in the West right now for the play-in tournament. Teams 7, 8, 9, and 10 will get a chance to compete for that 7 and 8 spot. That's the San Antonio Spurs. That's Luka, the Don with the Mavericks. That's the Warriors, and that's Memphis. And that's the Pelicans right there at 12 who are competing with the way Zion's playing, making his first All-Star game. That will be one of the most intriguing things to watch that will build into the playoffs. And Chef Curry, you saw him in the All-Star game. You saw him win a three-point shooting contest. He will will his team to be into the playoffs by winning the play-in tournament. One of the best things to keep your eye on as we move towards the second half of the season.
Next up.
At 3.
The Battle of LA. It will finally be here, Key. It will be here. We will get a chance to see that this year.
Is it really a battle?
It will be. I mean, right now, without AD, it will be. It just won't be in the Western Conference Finals. We will see this battle in the Western Conference semifinals. Look, the Clippers still need a point guard. We talked about this. I thought CP3, yes, he has the Phoenix Suns, second place right now in the Western Conference. I would have loved to see him go back to the Clippers and play with the likes of Kawhi and Paul George. But with the way this is going to work out, with what LeBron James is going to have to do in the second part of the season, if AD does not come back to play, I think we're going to see the Clippers and the Lakers in the Western Conference semifinals instead of the Western Conference finals.
Can they acquire a guard right now, though? Is there somebody out there that would give them what they're missing?
Which team, the Clippers or the Lakers?
The Clippers.
Look, there are names on a trademark. I don't really know. From a point guard perspective, I don't know if there's a guy that can help this team go next level. But LeBron's going to have to go next level. I know that for a fact in order for this team to continue to stay in the conversation for being a world champion.
Again, 2 games tonight in the NBA. Speaking of that number.
At 2.
The Sixers will finish with the best regular season record since the 2000-2001 season, but will still be edged out for the top seed by the Brooklyn Nets. Now, look, the last time that season, 2000-2001, they won 56 games. They're not going to win 56 games this year, but it will be the damn near closest thing they will have to winning 56 games. The last year they won was 48 games. I want to say it's 2004 season, where it's really high. I think they'll be around that range or a little bit higher. Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons will have to sit out due to contact tracing, but still, this team is on their way. But I will say this. I still have the Nets as a favorite. Them getting Blake Griffin, I think, unlocks a lot of key pieces for the Nets with Kevin Durant, with Kyrie Irving, with James Harden. KD still has that issue with the hamstring. We'll see if that pans out. But with the addition of Blake Griffin, I still think the Nets will have a better regular season record at the end of the day, but still, 76ers on their way.
We will see the Nets tomorrow. They'll take on Boston. And when you're running the point, I mean, what's the number 1? When you go 1 through 5 in the court, the 1 is?
Right to the New York City market. Right to the New York City market. Number 1, the Knicks will not make the playoffs. I'm not talking about making the play-in tournament. They will make the play-in tournament. But, man, right now they're 5th in the East, and this second half begins a really difficult stretch for them. They had a favorable schedule in the first stretch. Now, I'm not knocking the Knicks. I love the fact that the Knicks are in a playoff hunt. They deserve to be there. Julius Randle playing out of his mind, an all-star. I love this for this team. Tibbs, I want to see Tibbs shine. But they begin the second half against the Milwaukee Bucks, against the Brooklyn Nets, against the 76ers. They have a tough schedule in the month of May, a 6-game stretch where they go on the West Coast swing, play against the Lakers, the Suns, the Clippers. A really difficult run down the stretch. I think the Knicks, very, very typical of the way Tibbs plays. Younger teams, their legs get heavy in the second half of the season. I think a little bit of that shimmer starts to rub off, And I think we see the Knicks fall a little bit in the second half, and they don't close the deal at the end in the play-in tournament.
And that is running the point real quick on that. Not that we're putting them in the playoffs. I mean, they're one game above 500, like you said, in the loss
They're fifth
column.
in the East right now.
Right. But if you look at the loss column, it gets a little dicey when you look at the loss column. What would it mean for the NBA just to have them in, even if it's just a play-in game, one round, get a little buzz, and then how much would it mean if they were to just miss out?
Well, I mean, look, the play-in tournament is what we talked about. So right now, teams that are 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th are currently Charlotte, Toronto, Chicago, and the Pacers. So if you're telling me that Charlotte's in the play-in game, get LaMelo Ball, you got the Tampa Bay Raptors, a storyline to follow. Indiana is actually going to get Karis LeVert back. We'll see when TJ Warren comes back, but they've already been hovering around that level too with Domantas Sabonis, all-star. So look, there'll be a lot of teams in that bucket. I think the play-in tournament, once again, in the East and the West, because the Knicks, I think, will come back down to reality. Miami's they're playing well. Like the Knicks are 19-18 right now with that very difficult second half of the season. If they're still in the play-in tournament, it will be intriguing to watch.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.